Hello?
Hello, Mr. Tanner. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm swell. I'm just going to adjust my volume here real quick so I can hear you a little bit better. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you okay.
Perfect. So,
I can hear you. I can hear you more than okay. I can hear you good.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you for taking the time to speak with Teens Want to Know. Are you doing a bunch of press today, or is it just kind of a light Friday for you?
It's just a light day for me. Well, in my opinion, I think.
All right, cool. Well, I'll try not to add stress to your day and make it kind of simple, and not even take up my full 15 minutes. Well, we'll see. So before we talk about Cobra Kai, which is super exciting, I saw the entire first season, and I just got the screeners for the second, and I haven't had a chance to look at them. But I'm actually very excited for this one because the first season was pretty amazing. First, before we get into it, let's help the people who may not be familiar with you. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I've been acting for what is it? Just over 10 years now. I'm originally from Ohio. I'm a tap dancer.
Oh wow!
That's kind of what got me into acting. And I'm on Cobra Kai.
Yeah. But you live in LA now, right?
I do live in LA. I moved out here that's what I said, 10 and a half, just over 10 years, maybe about 10 and a half years ago, with my mom. I met with some agents and managers. I was going to stay for 6 months just to try it out. And now 10 and a half years later, because I just liked it so much, I just never left.
And apparently LA liked you and just kept giving you jobs, so here you are.
Well, hey, I'll take it.
All right, so let's talk Cobra Kai. For those who haven't seen it yet, just give us a brief rundown on the show and your character. It's always good to hear from the cast on their perspective on that.
Yeah. Well, the first season kicks off 34 years after the event at the All Valley Championship with Daniel and Johnny, where Daniel throws his famous crane kick. Johnny's kind of now down and out. He kind of doesn't have the best life. He drinks a lot. He is a handyman. He doesn't make much money. While Daniel is over there being a luxury car salesman, being the face of the valley. Everybody knows him. He's kind of famous for being that guy who sells these amazing cars. And Johnny is kind of, I think, finally decides that he's had enough of it and realizes that he has this chance to train this kid, Miguel, and make some money and reopen the Cobra Kai dojo, and does that. Meanwhile, Johnny has actually a family that he left behind long ago. And I play Robbie Keane, who is actually Johnny Lawrence's son. And I'm kind of a delinquent. I'm the bad boy. I like to get into some trouble.
Yep.
I like to do possibly some illegal things.
Yep.
But I'm very angry at my dad, and I think I always have been throughout my life. And I find out that he's going to reopen this karate dojo, and he's being this fatherly figure to this kid named Miguel, and it kind of really makes me so angry that I decide that I'm going to get back at him by training with his nemesis, Daniel LaRusso.
Ooh, that is pretty realistic. I think for teens that want to get back at their parents, that's kind of like, ooh, you know what I mean? Any parallels to that in your own life, or was this just a total creation for you to make this character that way?
No, it was actually completely creation for me. It was nice to. I've never had problems with my dad. My dad has always been around and supportive, but when given the chance, I tried to find the anger that Robbie has. I mean, because knowing how well my relationship is with my parents, thinking about how emotional not only would it make a teenager for a parent not to be around, and then to go and be a parent to a kid that he's not even known that long.
Yeah.
Is extremely, it makes you very, very angry. I mean, if you would even hear about anybody, if you would hear someone that left their family to just because he didn't want to be there anymore, and then he goes and decides that, you know what, never mind, I do want to do it, but I'm not going to do it with my family that I promised to be with. I'm going to do it with someone that I just met, and it seems like a good kid. You know what I mean? It can make someone very angry.
What's funny though is that the way it plays out is like when I watched the first season, I actually felt sympathy for the dad. I'm like, man, this guy's getting hammered by life. Here's Daniel LaRusso acting kind of like a pompous jerk. Like I'm rooting for the bad guy, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing is though. I mean, I tell people Josh, John, and Hayden do a great job of. I mean, you look at him and you're like, oh my God, he's had a terrible life. I feel so bad for him. God, Daniel LaRusso's being somewhat of a dick.
Yeah.
And he's not being that nice. So you feel bad for him, yet at the same time, you're looking at it and you're like, oh, wait a second. Yes, he's had a bad life, but he left his son and his wife, and he's not been a dad for 16 years. He's not even been around at all.
Yeah.
So there's both sides of the story, and that's what Josh, John, and Hayden, our writers, have done a great job of, and that's why they wanted to create this series, is because there are two sides to every story. There are some things that people are going to do that are going to make you mad. There are some things that people are going to do that are going to make you extremely happy. They make each character a human being. They don't make them perfect, because not every human being is perfect. And that's why this series is so relatable, is because nobody's perfect, and everybody can relate to making a mistake or making a good choice. Yep,
absolutely. Totally agree. And I think that's why I love it so much, because they really dive deep into these characters' lives, as opposed to the movies, which were action-packed, but they didn't go so deep into the other side of the coin. Now, without giving too much away, what are you most excited for about this second season and how the drama unfolds?
I think I'm most excited about the fighting. What I mean by that is, like you said, there was a lot of action in the original movie. However, this season, not only is there the same, comedy and drama that you got in the first season and all the story development, there's a lot more action this season, and I think people are just gonna kind of go crazy about it, because it's just a lot. There's just so much more in the world now, and you're learning so much more information. It's just an expansion of the world. So I think I'm excited for the fact that people are gonna people are going to see so much more action, and the fact that people are going to actually get to be a part and learn more about this entire world. Because there's just a lot more to be learned.
That's great.
And people definitely are going to learn a lot more.
Awesome. Now, were you a martial artist before you booked this?
I had done Taekwondo, I think, like a lot of other kids had when they were, 10 to 12 years old. And, but I had actually, before I got this role, I was doing Muay Thai, and probably had done that for about 8 months before I got this.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say I was a martial artist, but I had some background, and it definitely helped.
Yeah, I bet. What was your training like for this? How long did you have to prep, and what was your routine like for training? Did you train with did you go to a dojo? Was it on set, or how did that go?
Well, for this season, for season 2, we all trained. We started, I think I remember it was about a month or a month and a half before we even started shooting. We trained 3 days a week for about 3 to 4 hours every time.
Wow.
And then when we got there, we started training every single day, I believe 2 to 3 hours every day with our stunt coordinators, TWK and Janelle Kirkman. And we did that as much as possible every day until the shooting schedule just got a little too crazy.
Yeah. And
then at that point, we trained whenever we could. If there was time that they were shooting, but, they had an hour here, or on the weekends, if they had a weekend where they were willing to train and we could train and they could train and our schedules worked out. I mean, it could have been anywhere from 30 minutes to hours and hours and hours and hours.
Amazing. And it was in traditional karate that you guys trained in, or was it like a mixed style?
I can't quite remember what the names were.
Okay.
But our stunt coordinator, Hito Koda, is trained in a lot of different styles, and he specifically makes sure that the Cobra Kais and the Miyagi-Dos do train in different styles of karate. Yeah. Because they have 2 different styles of teaching. So yes, when we do train, he is making sure that anybody that's on Cobra Kai side is learning their style of karate, and anybody that's on the Miyagi-Do side is learning their style of karate.
That's an amazing attention to detail. That's actually pretty cool to know. All right, so we're almost done. I just want to ask one question, since you've just exited your teenage years, right? You just turned 20?
I did.
Okay. Well, congratulations on surviving your teenage years, first of all. But if you could travel back in time, right, and give one piece of advice to your 13-year-old self, like you just became a teenager, what would that one piece of advice be?
I'd probably say, don't be so hard on yourself, because this business, and also too, I know regular school. People think your teenage years and your high school years, they're so important, and they're going to define who you are, and they're going to be this, and they're going to be that, and they're just so important. And granted, they are, they are important. They're a time in your life, and they're important. However, you're a teenager. You have so much time to figure out life and what you want and what you want your life to be. You're young. You should be able to live your life without stressing so much, and just have fun and know everything's going to be okay and everything's going to work out the way it needs to. because I mean, really, there's a lot of pressure on teens, and I think everyone should just be able to kind of sit back sometimes and just take a breather and relax, because I don't think there's enough of that, especially in a world now where stuff can happen so instantaneously with the internet and phone and computers. Just take some time to relax and enjoy, and don't put pressure on yourself, because you're going to need that, because you have a lot more life to live.
Yeah, total. Great advice. And just imagine your 40-year-old self telling you that as well, going back and telling you your 20-year-old self the same thing, because
Yeah, I can't imagine. I can't imagine in 20 years what I'm going to be thinking about what I should have said now.
All right, Tanner, you've been awesome, very well spoken. I love the show. I'm gonna definitely plug it as much as I can. I think people need to watch it. It's very relatable to teens. Your character is great. It's just I love the fact that this has been brought back. And we talk a little smack about the internet, but because of the internet, Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai are back in action. So that's pretty awesome.
Absolutely.